Thank you all for joining us for our e-marketing training with Cvent. It is now 1 o'clock. We're going to get started. There were some questions that were submitted during registration. Patrick will be reviewing those kind of in the course of the training as well as at the end. If you do have any additional Q&A as we go through the training, please don't hesitate to put it either in the Q&A or you can put it in the chat as well, and we'll make sure to pull that information at the end of the presentation. All right, and Patrick, if you want to get started, thank you so much for being here.
Sure, thank you, Erica. Hey everybody, this is Patrick. I'm the dedicated resource for HFMA at Cvent, and I'm going to go through the e-marketing training today for you guys. So I have an agenda that I'll be sharing shortly, but before that, I'd like to let everyone know that the questions that were posted during registration, I'm going to cover most of those during the training itself. But if you do have additional questions, feel free to post them and I will definitely cover them towards the end of the training. All right, so with that, let's get started. Let me just quickly start sharing my screen. Okay. All right, is everybody able to see my screen? Erica, can you see it? If you could just let me know.
Yes, we can.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, so now during this training, we will discuss training and support options. Within the e-marketing module, I'm going to go through the different tabs that we have: overview, campaigns, emails, alerts, reports, and website pages. And after today's training, you will be able to do the following. Of course, you'll be able to navigate and understand key Cvent and e-marketing terminology. You'll be able to create campaigns and emails. You can set up distribution lists or contact groups to associate to your campaign. And apart from that, you are able to set up semi-private request alerts. And we will go through that and you'll be able to understand better momentarily what a semi-private request is. And of course, you would obviously be able to run reports, save them, and export them to Excel if needed. All right, so first off, support can be reached by phone, or you can access it via the Cvent community if you have a Cvent login. Support is available Monday through Friday, 24/5 that is, and can be reached at the number displayed on my screen. And once you dial the number, you need to select option 7 to speak to a person who is an expert on e-marketing. Now, apart from that, within the support community, you could log in with your credentials, and under My Cases, you will see an option to create a new case, using which you can submit a portal case, and someone from Cvent will look into it and get back to you either via the case or email. Okay, so I'm now going to switch my screen share over to the Cvent system, so you can see what it looks like, and we're going to go through all the tabs. Just give me one quick moment here while I make that switch. Okay, so e-marketing can be accessed from the app switcher icon on the top right. You need to click on this and then access e-marketing from the list. Now, this is the overview page within e-marketing. It gives you a quick snapshot of how many distribution lists you've created, how many active campaigns you've got, details about the next scheduled email. And in addition to that, it also tells you the date and time for when the email is scheduled to be sent. If you scroll further, you will see contacts awaiting approval. We will talk a little more about this momentarily. And under quick views, you will be able to see emails sent by week. You can select from the dropdown and sort based on your preferences by month, email sent by campaign, or distribution lists sign up by week. In addition to the snapshot, you're able to see a brief schedule of your emails. Now, these can be accessed directly by clicking the email itself over here, or you could click on emails and get to these. But of course, when you click on emails, you'll see the entire list. However, when you access individual emails from the overview section, you will be taken directly to that email and to the calendar tab that tells you what time and date is that email due to be sent out. If it's associated to a specific campaign, it'll let you know what the current status is, whether it is scheduled or has it been sent, and the total number of recipients that actually received this email. So when I say actual recipients here, it does not really mean the number of invitees or people you've added to your list. So suppose you've got, say, 1,500 people on your list that you want to send an email to. The actual recipients will only show the number of emails that were sent out, because a lot of emails may bounce, or well, not a lot of emails would bounce. It really depends on whether the emails have been marked as spam, if they're blacklisted in that case, or if a specific invitee has opted out of receiving emails, then of course that email would not get delivered to them. So that's what the actual recipients shows you, the real number of emails that were actually sent out, keeping aside the bounced emails and of course the ones that were opted out. Now there are two tabs here. There's email selection and calendar, of course. Calendar is what you get to when you click the email within the overview tab. And the email selection shows you all the campaigns within available within your account. Now we'll come to this momentarily, but from the screen, you are able to create an email. You're also able to do that from the overview screen. You have the ability to create email or create a campaign. If you'd like to search for a specific email, if you know the title of the email, you can search for it from here. And if you want to view the full email schedule, you just click this link and you're able to see a bigger view of a calendar that shows you month-wise what emails are scheduled to be sent or the emails that were sent in the past. All right, so moving on to campaigns. I'm going to talk and explain a little bit about what campaigns do. And I'm pretty sure you guys have been using other platforms, so it's actually very similar to what other platforms have. You are able to create a new campaign for sending out emails. Now, how can campaigns come in handy here? You can create a campaign, and if you have multiple emails that are associated to a specific campaign, let's say you want to create a campaign for your event, HFMA Spring Conference and Golf Tournament. You can create a campaign with the same name, so it's easy for you to identify. And if you're going to be sending multiple emails during the period, let's say you want to send out an email every week, you can create all the emails in advance and associate those emails to that single campaign. As you can see on my screen here, next to each campaign, we are able to see the list, as in the number of emails associated to each campaign. All right, and just so that you guys know, I see some questions have already started coming in, and I'll be covering them towards the end of the session. So please continue to keep posting questions, and I will be able to answer them towards the end. All right, so if you would like to view or create a new campaign, you can simply click the existing campaign or click the Create Campaign button. And when you click on the Create Campaign option, you're able to see two options. You can either copy an existing campaign, or you can create a new blank campaign from scratch. If you're copying it, you just let the first selection be, and then from the drop-down, you can select which campaign you would like copied. Once you've selected the appropriate campaign, you can go next. Or if you're planning on creating one from scratch, just select Create a New Blank Campaign and click Next. Now, the next step asks you to give it a name. Whether it is active or not, you got to select that. Internal note is only for internal reference. This section is not visible to anybody else who does not have a Cvent login. So if, let's say, 2 or more of your colleagues are managing a single campaign, it would be a good idea for the person creating the campaign to add an internal note. So tomorrow, if you're not available and one of your colleagues is in the system, you need them to read through a message, then you can definitely add it in this section. Please note that this internal note section has a character limit of 300 characters. So you got to think about what message you want to pass on to your colleagues and then type it in accordingly. All right, the next section is default contact information. Now, whatever information is entered here, it is automatically populated into any of the emails that are associated to this campaign. So this will be the from name and the from email that will be visible to someone when they receive an email sent via the Cvent eMarketing system. So if I were to receive an email tomorrow, then I would receive it from, I would see the name in my inbox as HFMA chapter relations, and the from email that it will show would be chapter@hfma.org or whatever email has been selected from the dropdown. Now, please remember that the dropdown does not allow you to add a new email. In order to do that, you need to make sure that you go back to the app switcher, click on admin, and under
Patrick, I'm just gonna stop you. So our users right now don't have administration access. It's just the HFMA team. So if you do need it, no, it's okay. So if you do need an email added, please just email chapters@hfma.org, and we'll be happy to add that email into the dropdown for you.
Perfect. Thank you, Erica.
You're welcome.
All right. Yeah. So just email your chapter admin and they should be able to add the email, after which once the email is added, of course, the person managing the inbox needs to verify it. They would receive a verification email. There will be a link in that email. Once you're verified is when that email will be available in the dropdown in those lists. If the email has not been verified and it's only been added by your chapter relation, then it will not be visible in the dropdown. So that is something important you need to remember. And after the email has been added, just click on verify. And then once you verified it, it should be available on the list. Okay, so I'm creating a test campaign. I'm going to delete this later. This is just being created for the purpose of this training. So I will be able to remove it so no one gets confused and ends up using this later. As a next step, you can actually include a permission reminder under email settings. If you hover over the question mark, you can see what the permission reminder is. So this actually includes the recipients who are in the list for the emails to be sent out. It helps them remember why is that email actually being sent to them, and how did they exactly give you permission to email them. Now, this step can come in handy. This can be very important because I remember there was a question posted by Katie asking about the email deliverability and how can we optimize it. So one of the ways to do it would be to ensure that you include a permission reminder either in the header or footer. This will prevent your emails from being blocked in the future, and you can ensure maximum email deliverability if the setting is enabled. Next up under email settings is email format. You've got a couple of formats. There's HTML and plain text, and of course there's plain text only. If you wish to send out emails that don't really have any images and do not need to be customized, then you can simply use a plain text section and plain text setting, and you can create plain text emails. Any URLs will need to be added separately. So any person reading through the email with either disabilities or maybe using a screen reader to go through the email, they're able to they're able to figure out which is a link versus what the other text of the email is. Versus if you select HTML and plain text, you are able to customize the email by adding images. Of course, the plain text version of that email will be stripped of all formatting. There will be no bold or italicized text. There will be no images, and any links that have been added behind buttons or any sort of images, they will be converted to plain text. And you would only be able to see the URL rather than a button or an image within the plain text email. The next setting is click tracking. Now, click tracking only works for HTML emails, as you can see here. Click tracking allows you, if this setting is enabled, this allows you to track how many links or what links within the email were clicked. You're also able to track the email deliverability via reports, but there is a separate report for click tracking that tells you how many links were clicked, or rather which links were getting the most amount of traffic when this email was sent out. The next setting is including an opt-out link. If you would like to disable this, you can select no. This allows the invitees to opt out of receiving emails in the future. So that would mean for the entire organization. So if you want to include this option, it is recommended because it is a requirement in conjunction with Cvent's terms of service. So this option should always be enabled either in the header or in the footer. The next setting allows you to include your company contact information in the footer. It is, of course, it can be disabled if necessary. And you can add your company name, company address. So it is automatically a setting. If this is set as yes, and you add your company information, it will automatically be included in your emails that are sent out within the footer section. For now, I'm going to leave the setting as no. And then activate a web page version of this email. I believe this is self-explanatory. A lot of systems have this option where if someone is not able to view their emails in their email client and the setting is enabled, the moment they click the link within their email, that would allow them to actually view a web page version of the same email on their device's browser, whether it's on a computer or a laptop or a tablet or a mobile phone. It would automatically open up a web page version of the email. Okay, now the next step allows you to associate distribution lists. I can show you how to actually create these distribution lists, but I'm not really sure, since Erica actually mentioned that you would not really have access to the admin section. So Erica, a quick question. Do your chapters have access to contacts, or is that access restricted?
No, they should have access to contacts.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, then I'll be able to show you how to actually create these distribution lists because they're created under contacts. I will walk you through that momentarily. However, just so that I can give you an idea, when you create a distribution list, you are able to associate it to your campaign. And if you want to send out multiple emails from a specific campaign to the same set of people, or if you want to use that same campaign for a future event maybe, or sending out future emails, all you got to do is update the distribution list from the contact section, and that information is automatically updated within the campaign as well. So when you're sending out emails in the future, today you may have 600 contacts, tomorrow you may have 100 more. You are able to create you're able to update the distribution list, add those 100 new people, and then you can ensure that the emails that are sent out for this campaign that I've created, the test campaign, it includes those 100 people that were added recently. All right, I see there's a question from Lori. She's asking, what is the benefit of creating a campaign in eMarketing versus within the event tab? So I'm gonna cover that now. Since we're already talking about campaigns. So any emails created in eMarketing, they're not linked to your event tab. You are able to pull certain event-related information within your eMarketing emails that are sent out. But typically, eMarketing is kind of used as a method to bulk market or to maybe notify your invitees of something interesting, maybe an upcoming event. However, the emails within the event tab, they're specific to that event only, right? Those emails will not show up on a calendar similar to the overview tab within the eMarketing section, and they're only limited to that specific event. With eMarketing, however, you're able to create these campaigns and you're able to send out multiple emails for maybe a single event, or let's say a group of events that are similar, which may be happening on different dates throughout the year. If you have like a series of events that are associated to the same thing, then you have that event, let's say twice or 3 times a year, it would be better to actually use eMarketing versus the event tab, because if you have 3 events in a year, you would need to you would actually need to create those emails 3 times in 3 separate events. However, with eMarketing, although you may have to create multiple emails for different dates, but you are able to associate them to a single campaign, which makes it easier for tracking and easier to report on as well. All right. So moving on, within this campaign, you are able to associate any distribution lists that you would automatically want emails to be sent out to for this specific campaign. And once you've selected your relevant distribution lists, you can scroll down to the bottom and click on either Save and Finish, or you can click on Finish and Create Email. Now, clicking Finish and Create Email will automatically save all your settings. And if you click Save and Finish, that's it. You need to go back to the email section and then try and create a new email. Saving and Finish will bring you back to the campaign details. It will show you the name of your campaign, whether it's active or not. There's a unique identifier with that actually helps you identify if you wanted to share this code with someone. Suppose you have multiple campaigns that have similar names and it gets easier to track, then the code actually helps you identify because this is unique for every campaign. And then, of course, you're able to edit any of this information that was previously updated by clicking edit, or you can delete this campaign if it is no longer in use, or if you think it was created in error, you are able to delete it. Now, you have the ability to create an email and associate to this campaign directly from this screen itself, but we will get to that momentarily. Before that, I'd like to walk you through the rest of the fields available within this campaign. So the next field is, next tab is custom fields. Now, custom fields are similar to event custom fields or session custom fields that need to be updated on the planner side. So as you can see, I've created a test custom field. Those can be created from the admin section again. And since you won't have access to it, you can let your chapter admin know, and this should be able to create those custom fields for you. Custom fields can be single answer text or comment box. They can be a date type question. They can be a single answer drop down or a multiple choice drop down type of questions. Well, not necessarily drop down. You could have radio buttons displaying the answer choices vertically or horizontally for both single answer and multiple choice questions. Now, I haven't made this field required, so anytime someone is using this campaign, if the field is required, they will actually need to fill this information up. This information can be pulled in reporting. If you need to track something within the reports, then you can create custom fields and use that information within campaigns by filling them up and then running reports to view that detail later. The next tab within the campaign is associated lists. Now, if you remember, when I created the campaign, I had associated a couple of lists at that time. These are the distribution lists that can be created under contacts. If, let's say, your requirement changes and you no longer want to send emails from this campaign to a specific list, you can just uncheck them from here, and you can associate new lists if necessary. Now, please note that if I move over to a different tab without actually clicking save, any changes that you made will automatically be saved. And you will see this pop-up similar to how you see on my screen at the moment that lets you know that your changes will obviously save. However, if you wish to go back, and you can click cancel, which will discard, well, it won't really discard the changes, but you will be able to go back to the page that you were working on. So I can come back here. Next tab is emails. Currently, our campaign does not have any emails because we've created none nor associated any existing emails. So obviously there's nothing. But once we click on the create email button right here, or we associate any other emails that may be existing, then we should be able to see them here. The final tab within this campaign is visibility. This allows you to control who has access to this campaign and who's able to edit the settings of the specific campaign. So if you would like to restrict that access, so no one from a different chapter maybe is able to go into the campaign and make changes to it, or even view it. For privacy purposes, you can select the chapters that need access to this specific campaign, and you can click save. At this time, however, I'm not associating any user groups with this campaign. In addition to user groups, of course, you are able to associate individual users as well. So if you did not really want to give access to a bunch of people, rather than selecting user groups, it is recommended that you select specific users and give them individual access. For instance, one example that I can think of where this can come in handy is if you've got different users associated with different groups, and you would like to give access or make this campaign visible to specific users from specific groups, then you could simply search for them and you can check the box next to their name to give that specific user access to this campaign. The reason this would come in handy, of course, is because a user group would have multiple users associated to it versus users. These are, of course, individuals who access or rather have a Cvent login, basically. All right. I'm not saving the settings at this time, although my campaign is already created. So I'm just going to cancel out of the screen and move on to the next section. Okay. The next tab within the mega menu on the left is emails. As you can see, the create email option is available in multiple places. You have it under overview section, you have it within the emails, of course, and you can create emails from within the campaign as well. And when you click on the email section, you're able to see the list of all the emails that are created within this account. Unfortunately, you don't really have the ability to actually sort them. There are a few options. You can select maybe a specific campaign, or you could just use the search function right here. There is no advanced search that may allow you to sort it differently. There are limited options when it comes to sorting. So if you know the name of your email, of course, you can search it from here. Or if you know what campaign the email is associated to, you should be able to find that by selecting a specific campaign. Let's look at the test campaign that I created. Of course, there are no emails at the moment, so let's get started and try and create an email. Before we create an email, however, we have an option called default email settings. Let me just quickly walk you through this. Now, the default email settings will automatically apply to any emails that are not associated to a campaign. So whatever information you enter here will automatically display, will be populated into those emails that are not associated to a specific campaign. The details that can be updated by default are the first name, the last name, and the from email address that will be visible to your invitees when they receive the emails. The email format, of course, and whether or not click tracking needs to be enabled. All the settings that are available within the campaign are also available to set up by default for any campaigns. I'm sorry, for any emails that are not associated to a campaign. All right. And the next step is creating an email. Let me just quickly walk you through that. It's really simple. When you click on create email, you are able to select the creation method. Would you like to create a new email from a Cvent template? If you do that, the bottom section will show you a glimpse of what the template would look like. And of course, Cvent template are emails that are templates that are actually created or provided by default within HFMA's account library. If you would like to copy an existing email, you can select this setting. So any email that may have been created in the past can be used to copy over. You're able to select it from the list available in the dropdown. If you want to copy the content from maybe an account template, so a template that may have been created beforehand and it is saved at the account level, then you can do that. If you would like to create an account template, since you guys may not have access to the admin section, you can reach out to your chapter admins and they can help you get these templates implemented. And the final setting within the creation method is creating a new blank email from scratch. I'm going to show you this momentarily, but before that, I'd like to just quickly walk you through some other options that are available under each creation method. If you select Cvent template, you're able to select a theme maybe and change it. You can see a bunch of themes that are available that are offered by Cvent by default. And once you select the theme, you may not be able to see a glimpse of that here right away because it can take some time to update. Sometimes there is a sync delay. It takes time for the page to refresh. Once you change the theme, you should be able to see a preview of it here. If you're copying an existing email, what you can do is you can select the email, of course, and you can select the campaign which it is associated to. And you don't really have a lot of settings that you can change here, but once the email is created, you can go back into that email and update its settings if required. If you're selecting copying the email from an account template, the templates that have been created beforehand would be available in this list in the dropdown, and you should be able to select them from the list, wait for the screen to refresh, and then go next. Today, I'm going to walk you through how to create a blank email, because once you copy over an existing email or maybe from an account or a Cvent template, you need to make minor changes. But if you want to create a new email from scratch because none of the emails that are created or templates created meet your requirements, then it is recommended to best, it is recommended that you should actually select a new blank email. And once you do that, you get to the second step, which asks you to select whether the email is active or not. You can add a subject line that will be visible to your invitees once they receive an email. Of course, you have the ability to add data tags. Now, data tags are smart tags that will automatically pull up information from a different section within the Cvent system. So, for example, what you could do is, if you wanted to pull up maybe the event title or any other information specific to an event, you can click this button next to the subject or any other field where you see this icon. You got to click this, and then depending on what type of information you would like to add within the subject line, you can click on the category dropdown, and let's say I want to add some information from my event. I can select event and then scroll, find what information I'm looking for. let's say I'm trying to find the location or any other information that is related to the event, it can show up here. I'm trying to find a different piece of information that can actually come in handy. There it is. So you can actually pull up the event title automatically within the subject line if needed. And once you do, the event title gets added like so. Of course, in order to add this, you need to first copy the event code. You can get that from within the event. If you go to the overview section within the event or the event information tab within your event, you can copy the alphanumeric code, put it in here, click on apply code, and that data tag is automatically generated. Once you apply the code, click, select the checkbox next to the data tag that you wish to add and click OK. Once you do that, you will notice that a similar text will appear, a similar tag will appear within the subject line automatically. And if you wanted to maybe add additional text, like so, you could do that. For instance, you're maybe sending out a save the date email, or you're sending out a bulk invite to a lot of people. You can then modify the text accordingly. And with the help of this data tag, since we would have added the event code, the alphanumeric event code, that is the unique identifier for the event, it will automatically pull up the event title once the email is sent out. You can actually select when creating the email, what campaign should this email be associated to. If it's not associated to any campaign, you can just select, let the dropdown stay as non-campaign emails. You can select the from name, the from first name, the from last name, and the from email that will be visible to invitees when they receive this email. Now, please note that if you've already updated this information in a specific campaign, the moment you select the campaign, the screen would refresh and it will automatically pull up the from name, the last name, and the from email address that will be visible to the invitees. Again, each email has internal note, so you're able to add a note for specific emails as well, rather than just campaigns. And the next section that you see here, additional email addresses that will receive this email. This allows you to ensure that if you would like to send this same email to the invitee's primary as well as alternate email address that may be saved in their contact record, then you can select CC email address from the additional email address dropdown. And this will ensure that when the email is sent out, it is automatically delivered to both primary and secondary emails. Right. And once you've selected the necessary information, I'm not going to associate this to a specific campaign. So let me just deselect that. Okay. Now the next step allows you to create the email content. When you get to step 3, you will see this box that allows you to either type in the information directly, or if you're good with code, then you can click on the HTML section and you can either copy paste the HTML code directly, or you could type it in manually if required. And within the design section, you are able to create your email. Let's say you have some text that you would like added here. Let me just pull that up. Add some dummy text, and I can show you what the email would look like when it's sent out. I'm sorry, my browser is stuck. Just give me one quick moment, please. All right, I think it's starting to work. Okay, and if I wanted to add images, I've added some text. If I want to add images, I can click on the insert button right here. Click on the media library option. And I can navigate to the specific folder of where my information may be saved or my images may be saved. And let's say I want to add a banner. Then I can simply select the image once I found it and click on insert. As you can see, the image gets added. When you click the image, you will see some formatting options at the bottom. If you want the width to be a little smaller, you can adjust that, and you will notice that the image automatically comes down to the size that's been defined. Of course, this would be used as a header, so ideally you should add a header at the top of your email, and then comes the body, the content, and then at the bottom you can have the signature with the help of data tags. I will show you how to add those, and of course you can add another image at the bottom, which would act as a footer. Now, in order to add data tags, so as to pull information automatically, for instance, if you would like to make sure that when the email is sent out, it is addressed to the invitee by maybe their first name, and you can use whatever salutation you prefer. And under the insert tab, you can look for this icon. It's the same icon that was available next to fields to insert a data tag. You can actually select or search for the tag if you know. Now I would like to insert the invitee's name here. So I select contact first name, click on OK. If you want to insert their first and last names, then you can select both and click OK. You will see that I just typed in dear, and the C first name, which is the contact first name data tag, automatically popped up. Now this data tag will ensure that when an email is sent to multiple invitees, it will automatically pull up their first name based on what information is updated in their contact record. Then, of course, you have, after the salutation, you have your body content. You can have your planner information populated with the help of data tags again. Well, if you would like to add this information from a specific event, you can add the event code here, click on apply code, and then this button would this checkbox would actually be available for you to check. Right now, it's grayed out. If that information is not associated to a specific event, then you don't really have to add a data tag, and you can simply type that information in manually. All right. And that is how it would be visible. Of course, when you hit a hard enter, which is without pressing shift on your keyboard, you will notice that there is a lot of spacing in between the text. So in order to curb this, if you would like to not really add so much text, it is advisable to use a soft enter, which will ensure that there is just one line space rather than an extra line spacing by using the hard enter option. Once you've added your text within the email, you've customized it, and you're good to send it out. Just go next and wait for the page to refresh. You should be able to add a plain text version of the email as well if you would like. Plain text information can be directly copied and pasted into this text box. You have the ability to insert data tags here if you would like. You can search for an event code from here or a survey code and insert that information using these. Or if you would simply like to copy the information over from the HTML email, you can select or you can click this link And you will notice that it's been stripped of all the formatting, the image has disappeared, and the text gets copied over automatically. And once you've completed that, completed editing your plain text email, you can click on Save and Finish. I see a question from Christina. What is a soft enter? So if you're using a Windows computer, Christina, then you use Shift, press down the Shift key and hit Enter on your keyboard. That will ensure that there's a one-line space. However, a hard enter is without pressing the Shift key on your keyboard. If you hit Enter, then there is an additional line spacing, as you were able to see on my screen when I demonstrated that. If you still have additional questions, of course, feel free to post them and I should be able to answer them. All right, now once you've updated the HTML content and the plain text and you go next, you get to the preview tab. This actually gives you a quick analysis of your HTML email based on what type of images or keywords that are added within your email. It gives you a risk assessment and lets you know whether or not is your email likely to be filtered as spam or junk email. Okay, now apart from the spam rating, you can see a preview of the email as you keep scrolling to the bottom. You can see what the email looks like and how it would be visible to your invitees when they receive it. If you guys remember, I talked about the opt-out setting when creating the email. This was enabled. This setting is also available within the campaign. So this link gets added automatically depending on what selection was made, whether in the header or footer. Since I selected footer, it automatically got added to the bottom of the email. And as you scroll further, you're able to see a plain text version of the email as well. Once you've looked at the preview and you think it looks good, or if you'd like to make changes, you can go back to the HTML content. Or, you can go back to the HTML of the plain text content, click on edit, and you should be able to change whatever you wish to change. If not, you can directly test send an email to yourself or test send an email to someone else. Once you've tested and you see that the email looks good, you can either schedule it or you can send it manually if you wish to send it right away. All right, so that is how you can actually create an email. It's rather simple. It's very user-friendly. It's not difficult at all. And if you do get stuck, please remember that you have the Cvent community, and you can also contact the eMarketing support helpline Monday through Friday. And moving on to the next tab, within the eMarketing section, we have website pages. So website pages can be set up. For example, if you wanted people to sign up, or you wanted a forwarding page that they click on a link within the email and they get to a specific page, like a forwarding page. Let's look at what options are available when we create a new page. And when you click on create page, you're able to give it a name, whether it is active or not. And of course, there are only 3 types of pages that you can select. It can either be a sign up page, manage your profile page, or forwarding page. And if you hover over the question mark next to this setting, you're able to see what each of these pages allows you to do. All right, so let's suppose you're creating a sign-up page where you're letting your invitees add themselves to either a public or a semi-private list. And there are 3 types of lists. I will walk you through that momentarily. I will show you how to create a distribution list and the settings that are available within them: public, semi-private, and private. So these are the settings available within the distribution list that allow you to control the privacy of the list and who is able to add themselves. If the list is public, anybody is able to add themselves to the list. If it's semi-private, then they can obviously add themselves to the list. However, you would need to approve them manually. And if it's private, then they would not be able to request for them to be added, for themselves to be added to the list, and can only be done by one of you on the planner side. Just a quick thing to note. It's actually under emails. When you're test sending the email to yourself, if you say test send to myself, then whatever user you are logged in as and the email address that's associated to that user will be receiving that email, and not really yourself, unless you would want to send it to maybe a different email that is not associated to your user login. Then I would recommend selecting the test send to a different user option. Let me show you what that looks like. Test send to someone else. And when you click this option, you're able to select who you want to send it to, whether it's an account user, a user group, a specific email address. You can type in your email and then click on confirm test send. Right, sorry, I missed out on that. Coming back to website pages. Okay, so before we continue, Erica, there's just one quick thing. I see that we are almost at time, and we may need to schedule another session for about 30 minutes. So would it be possible, I mean, do you want to do that, or do you want me to do it?
We can look at the calendar and get something put on, and then we can share it with everybody again.
I'm sorry, but you're sounding like you're talking from really far away. I couldn't hear that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Tracy and I will review the schedule, and we'll see when we can get a date, and we'll work with you on getting something set up, and then we will share it with everybody as we did before. Sure,
because I'm able to cover most of it today. It's just the alerts and the report section that I don't think we'll be able to get to.
Sure. And
Thank
there's a number of questions in the chat as well.
Yes, I did see a few questions. And of course, there are a few questions about including attachments. So I can go over these specific questions after the training has been completed. All right, so coming back to the website pages, we're looking at a forwarding page right now. If you want your invitees to actually look at a forwarding page or go to a specific page, then you can actually set that up. Let's look at the settings available here for the page setup. From the top, you can give it a name. If you don't want to call it forwarding page, you can call it something else. Whether the page is active or not, the page type setting cannot be changed because this was selected when we tried creating the page, so you can't really change this after. A page title can be given. You can add a data tag code so as to pull this title within emails if necessary with the help of data tags. And whether this is default or not, this is automatic because there's currently only one forwarding page. So you can make, if you have multiple forwarding pages, you can make one of them the default page. And of course, you have the internal note section that allows you to add an internal note so your colleagues can refer to it. And apart from that, we have some additional page settings. We've got maximum times each contact can forward the email. You can select a number from 1 to 10, which will ensure that any person who receives that email and they're allowed to forward it, they should be able to forward it to the number that's specified in this box. After contacts forward an email, what will happen? Will they see a message? If you want them to see a specific message, you could add that here. Or if you want them to go to a specific URL, then you can select go to a URL, paste the URL in here. And there is an additional setting that allows you to select whether the message included from the person who forwards the email is added as well or not. And that message can be added here. So let's say this email was forwarded to you, or anything else that you may like to update here can be added. So when I say include my message, which means from the planner side, if you wanted to add an additional message, which is sent out in addition to whatever text the person who's forwarding the email may have typed in. If you don't really want to include your own message, just select no and click save. The next tab within the forwarding page is contact fields. Oh, sorry about that. Okay, now on this tab, you're able to select which contact fields will display and whether they're required or they're optional. You can add additional fields. The first name, last name, and email address fields are always required. There is no option to remove them. You are, however, able to add additional fields such as, say, company or chapter or address. And you will notice that a bin icon appears next to the additional fields, but not for these three because these are the default fields. They cannot be removed. If you'd like to show help text for any of these fields that may be added at the contact field level where the fields were created, that of course would be taken care of by your chapter admin. So you can let them know if you need any help text. You can select this checkbox to ensure the help text displays. You can give it a value if it's a different value you would like to define, for instance, work address or home address, and whether it will be visible, which means read only, or will it be required? Actually, I'm sorry, visible means whether it will be optional, and required means they obviously have to fill it in before they can proceed. In addition to that, we have a presentation tab. Now, on the presentation tab, you're able to add instructions. As you can see on my screen, there are some default instructions added, but if you'd like to customize it, there is a character limit of 2,500 characters. If you'd like to format it by giving it by italicizing or maybe adding some bold text, you can click the HTML option. Wait for the screen to show up. And in this pop-up window, you're able to customize the text, add images maybe from the image library. If you would like to hyperlink some text, you can select that text and click on Hyperlink Manager. You can add the URL over here by copying it or and pasting it. Or if you would like to add any additional elements, such as, let's say, social media icons, you could do that. You wanted to insert a table or customize the email as per your requirement, you're able to do that from this pop-up window. Now, at the bottom, we've got forwarding instructions, whether or not you would like to display the header. What will the header email be? Forward this email or whatever you'd like it to be. There can be some display text to further define the header label. Maybe some sort of instructions you would like to give your invitees, those can be added here. This has a character limit of 10,000 characters. Again, this can be customized similar to how we're able to add additional formatting by clicking the HTML button. And further message instructions include whether to display header or not. So this is the forwarding instructions, the header and the display text. And for the message instructions, you're able to display a separate header and header text. In addition to that, you've got any additional information you would like to display. I have never really seen all of these used by any of our clients, but if you want to, feel free to go ahead and create them and test it out and see what it would look like to your invitees. I'm going to quickly cover the display options tab, and I see that we are at time. So the display options allows you to change the theme, similar to how we were able to do at the beginning of creating the email. Similarly, we are able to define a theme for the forwarding page. We can format the buttons, whether they'll be images or HTML. If I say HTML, then it would just be links. However, if I say images, then we're able to select what color or what type of button should it be. You can define the colors for the content background, the website title text, the button text, and other sections within the page. They can all be controlled from here. You can add a header. As you can see, there's an image at the top, which is the header that can be added from the section. You can browse and add it from the library. In addition to that, you can select the alignment and a few other options related to the footer. If you wanted to add some text in here with the header and footer, you're able to do that. I see that we are on time, so I'm just gonna quickly copy the questions and save them. And we can probably cover this during our next session, whenever that is scheduled. And if you guys are unable to join the session, these sessions will be recorded, so you can definitely go through the recording later, or you can simply send your questions in an email to Erica or to your chapter admin, and I will be able to answer them in an email.
Yes, thank you, Patrick. So just so everyone is aware, the recording is going to be posted in the leadership community. So you'll be able to see this recording there, and then the next training will also be available as well in that same area. We'll make sure we get all of these questions answered for you during the next training. If you do have any additional questions, as Patrick said, please just send us an email at chapters@hfma.org, and we will be happy to get those answered as soon as possible. So again, thank you, Patrick, so much for joining us. This has been great, very informative. And we hope to see everybody on the next training when we get that date scheduled.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for coordinating this, Erica.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you everyone for joining. Bye-bye.